Today we will talk about simple animation. The package of GIMP animation is called GAP or GIMP animation package, which can do a lot about animations, films and movies. But we will cover that later. The oldest animation in Germany are called Daumen Kino or front cinema, and in English it's called flip book or flick book. This book contains a lot of images which are nearly the same, but slight modifications from page to page, and if you flick through them you get little moving picture. This video here is a animation too, and you are looking at a slideshow with 25 images per second. Here are two advertises. This is mine and this one from Rob, which shows animated GIF. I want to improve my advertise here. I want to show in my advertise the Meet the GIMP logo. Now I have to save this image to my desktop, and I have to successfully create an animation. So now I steal my own image and save it on my desktop. I open this image with the GIMP. Just pull it over to the toolbox and here it is. Let me enlarge this a bit here. Basically, there is no animation in this image, but there is a stack of 8 layers in the layer dialog, and on the top you can see that this is a GIF image which is indexed and has 8 layers of 80 by 80 pixels. This image is made out of 256 different colors, and to look at these colors, go to dialog and color map. Here you can see the colors which are used in this image, and there is a lot of blue and some other colors, and each color has a index and the HTML notification. So GIF images are indexed and not RGB images, and so they have only one limited color available. Now let's look at the frames here. You can see that the first layer is named as background, and in bracket it is in milliseconds, that is 5 seconds. So this image is shown for 5 seconds and then follows the frames 2, 3, 4 with 100 milliseconds, and there is an option of replace. To see the frames, I just press the shift key and hold and click on the eye here, and all the other frames are made invisible. And now I can stack them on the top here. There is a drawback of using the index colors. You can see lot of spots in here because these tiles has only 256 different colors available. So this here is my background image. and this is the other one, and also the other image I used in this animation. And this drawing was made by the people instead of following the lesson, and I have used it with his permission. And the rest of the images are simply mixture of the other images to get a smooth way from one to the other. To recreate this animation, I have to take two images out of this stack, which is very easy. Just click on the thumbnail here and hold the mouse button and draw it up to the toolbox, and here is my first image. Now click here and this one here is my second image. So I have these two images here, and I can close my original animation, and I don't want to save anything of it. Now I wanted to include the Meet the GIMP logo. Just pull it over to the toolbox, and here it is. I have to rescale it down to 80 by 80 pixels, and then I have to include white color as my background because black would be too harsh with this image. And to do that, I just add a new layer, fill it with white and pull it down, and now I have white as my background. Right click into the layer dialog and select flatten image. Now I have a flat Meet the GIMP logo on white. Now go to image, scale image, and I want to have 80 pixels, and in interpolation cubic is good. Click on scale, and now the image is rescaled, but it is way too soft. After rescaling, you have to sharpen it. So I go to filters, enhance, sharpen. I think I should go fairly high with the sharpness. I think this is good. Now I have three images waiting for becoming one animation. One thing I have nearly forgotten is saving these basic images. The first one is this here, Meet the GIMP, and I save it as mtg80.xcf. And this one here too. Other way to access menu is right click into the image and go to image, mode and RGB. Then go to file and save as. I will use this image as my base. So I save it again, and this time as the copy, and I call it advertise.xcf. Yes, I want to replace it. I have done that before. Go to File, Open. So here, this is my basic image, and the first thing I want to do is blend this image with Meet the GIMP logo, and for that I make a copy of this one and mix it with the logo. I select this image by clicking and pulling this into my toolbox, and here I have my layer, and now I select the logo and pull it over to this image, and you get a scrap layer which is untitled and it will never be saved. Now I have here two layers with my images, and I want to have 3 steps between these two layers. For doing that, I choose a transparency of, let's say, about 25%. Now I flatten this image and pull it to my advertise.xcf image. I will change these names later on. I go back to the untitled image, go to edit and undo. Now I set the transparency to about 50%. Right click on the layer and select flatten image, and before pulling this, I just rename the layer as frame X, and in bracket I type 100 milliseconds. Now I pull this to advertise.xcf and go back to my image. I press Ctrl Z and change the opacity of the top layer to say something about 75%. Right click on the layer and select flatten image. I pull this layer to this image, and that's it for this animation step. Now I have to pull the logo to this image, and here I have my first 3 layers of blending. And now I just close the scrap layer here and don't save it. Now we will look how this has worked out, but before that I save my work here, and now I go to filters, animation and playback. Here is my animation. I click on play. First, I have to change the names of these layers before playing it. You can rename the layers the same way as with the lot of other image word processing option. Just mark the text, press Ctrl C and double click on the next layer and press Ctrl V and change the necessary stuff. Now all the frames have their proper names. So I go back to my image, select filter, animation, playback, and let's look at this here. You see the basic image, and it is transformed to the other image, but it is very quick. It could be little bit slower. So I will change the timing to say 200 milliseconds. So again, filters, animation, playback. I think this is better. The last thing to do is index this image and save it as a GIF image. And this is easily done. Just go to File, Save As, and then change the name extension to GIF and click on Save. Then I get an option dialog, and GIF cannot handle these layers here, and it can only handle animation frames. So I want to save it as animation. GIF can handle only grayscale or index images. So I want to convert it to index result. These are the default setting. I found they are good enough for my stuff and I can change it, but I don't think it's necessary. So I click on export. Here you can see created with the GIMP and loop forever. In frame disposal, I want to replace frame from frame, and these other options are unchecked, so I leave them unchecked because if I want to change the timings to 5000 or 2000 milliseconds, then I can do it. Now click on save and we will look at the result. And for that we will not use GIMP but Mozilla. In Mozilla it works as expected. Goodbye. Up to next week. This is Hemant Vaidande dubbing for the Spoken Tutorial project.